trying to get this for a friend?
Huh? No. This is literally somebody, because I wake up pretty much every day and I search the limit list for house to see if anybody's selling a house, and this person's always at the top of the list wanting to buy a house. And so I looked into this person, and they work at a lot of, like, they do Big Dog Noodles, they work at the Furniture Hub, they're always a reliable citizen, and I was like, and this person has been looking for a house for about as long as I have, if not longer. And I spoke to him, and I was like, I don't have a house to offer you, but I hear you're looking at it. You're looking for a house. What are you looking at? She's like, I just want a place for my family and all this stuff. I was like, you are literally who needs a house. You were one of those key people who needs a house, right? And so I just figured I'd throw their name up there because they seem pretty genuine, and they do a lot of genuine work around town. They're a DOC. They work at Big Dog. They work at Furniture Hub. It's those core citizens who are literally keeping the city operational, for criminals and cops alike. And those are the kind of people that need the support, right?
Yeah, I think my plan is I want to get inventory, and then I want realtors who are going to manage some of this with some rules in place. Like I want to put like caps on it on some of the properties, and then do some kind of lotto system based on how much they're in the city type shit.
Yeah. And one thing you can do is you can request a background check. I mean, if you apply to the Marshals office right now, you have to sign a voluntary background check where we pull 30 days of phone and bank records.
I actually want to let you know something that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I already talked to Turner about it, but I'm kind of letting you know this as well. We had a situation yesterday where I got a call. You'll probably see a report on it. Chatterbox calls me, wants to send Ember over.
The Ember van thing or whatever. Terrorism, whatnot, Carmine, all that stuff. I heard a little bit about it. I wanted to help out.
But there was some weird tension between Carmine and some new guy. I've never seen him before.
Yeah, reportedly, so the new marshal, Cortez, he's a rookie marshal, so he has to have a baby. He's like a non-solo cadet. He can do some basic stuff around, and I guess one of the other marshals thought he was a deputy marshal and sent him to go help, and he was like, I'm a rookie, I don't have the authority to do this stuff. And then the guy was telling me that Carmine he was like, oh yeah, I want to push terrorism, but you're going to handle this case, and I'm just going to hand it all over to you. And the guy was like, I have no idea what any of this stems from. You can't just hand me a case for me to take over and just be like, here, I want to push terrorism, but I'm going to make you do all my work.
Listen. Like, Carmine had already kind of been overwhelmed, and he should have called backup, right? Which is why I started calling. Because I want you to think about, from my perspective, right, mayor of the city, and it's like, this person, credible threat, you put the pieces together. I get a phone call. Ember Quinn, she's coming to you with a Molotov. She's now there looking for me. You have enough, you have enough PC for a fucking search at that point. You know what I mean?
I would say RS to detain and try to seek. I don't know about PC just on that alone.
Sure. Listen, there's more to it. Regardless.
Okay.
You're not going to not have backup when there's 60 fucking people in the court center, right?
Yeah, especially with the threat of a Molotov. That's a pretty mass casualty incident waiting to happen.
Right. Which is ultimately where I called the Marshals, because I'm like, listen, my life's in danger, but also this entire building. And I'm just going to be frank. They all stood there waiting for instruction. So, and I get the not having the background, but that motherfucker did not even want the context, right? The
Marshal?
Yes, because I stood there next to him and Carmine, and they were both confused because they were talking about jurisdiction and shit. And honestly, someone probably needed to be there to hold his hand, right?
Yeah, that's what it should have been. I think, like I said, there was a confusion because he is a rookie marshal and he knows he's supposed to be basically being handheld. And
no one was handholding.
There was miscommunication that somebody sent him there thinking he was a deputy marshal.
Yeah.
and didn't bounce it through anybody else. And so he was just following his orders, but he was like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. And it was a mess. That was an internal miscommunication on our end.
Okay. Yeah, it's
but he is a rookie marshal, which is our version of a cadet, like a non-solo officer.
What's his background?
Law enforcement and law, like general law stuff.
Was he LSPD, BCSO, DOC?
LSPD, but it was a long time ago, so he's got to catch up with like the day, you know.
I got you. Okay.
That's why he's a non-solo, so he can understand and learn the current policies and procedures. Like the general foundation is there. We just have to build up the current cultural understanding of how we operate, right? Does that make sense?
It does. If it was a cadet, there should have been a marshal on that shit to help him.
There should have been.
The great, and I did talk to Turner. He gets it too, and I want to make sure that you know as well as like, I think our baseline, my expectation, right, like my vision, right, is I think this is reasonable. Is that these are actual threats, not pings, right?
Right.
And for me, I'm just like, how is anyone going to trust law enforcement when it feels like an SBS situation where 60 people could have been lit on fire? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
It's got, you know, like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Where
and then
understandably
somebody has to be the bad guy
to hit the nose, like hit the thing on the nose. That had that happen, these people may not want to ever do this shit again, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine like, it's like, you know, they got money on them, they got this and that, and then it's just like, oh cool, they're all burning down, and it's like, okay, fuck this, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of going to a concert and throwing like a fucking Molly in there, right? It's like, yeah, the side effect is way more grandiose, right?
Yep.
So,
and honestly, like, it's a tough position. Some officers gonna have to be the bad guy.
You're right.
Where it's either you don't act and then wait and then something happens and a bunch of people get hurt, or you try to take action and the criminal goes, oh, police are taking action, I have to counter, and throws the Molotov anyway and takes out a bunch of people, and then you're the bad guy. So it's like, well, do I passively just sit in the background and wait to be the bad guy and hope it doesn't get finger pointed at me?
I don't think it even got that deep.
Action against?
I don't even think it got that deep. You know what I mean? It was pretty bad yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that's just outside perspectives on how I see a lot of officers react to those kind of things. Is, do I not act and then hope the finger doesn't get pointed at me because then it's spread between 15 other people who didn't act, or do I act and then something go wrong and now all the fingers are pointed at me because I'm the one that acted? And that seems to be like a lot of the I'm not saying that that's what my marshal or any of the officers did, but that's a pretty common, like, I see this a lot in situations with PD, marshals.
But then there shouldn't be more than an officer or more than whatever, I get it. I don't see how they should have a badge then.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm usually having to be like, this is why I'm the bad guy. Everyone thinks I'm the bad guy because I'm usually the one that steps forward and just fucking takes action.
Hey, you and me both, right? Even for me, like, I bringing up this topic, I feel like I'm bitching about it, right? But it's more like I want people to treat this shit like it matters when it does, and not just pings. It's like fucking awkward as shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of like, it's the equivalent of like, hey, someone's about to fly a plane into a building, and it's like, oh shit, we're on an S+ boost right now. It's like what?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, look,
like,
I can make this super awkward for a moment. Sometimes people go, I can make it super not like super awkward, but you know, it is when people are like, but it's the clowns. Their whole thing is SBS. And
that is the most retarded logic ever.
No,
like,
I know, but this
that.
is what happens.
Yeah.
This is what happens is that people go, it's the clowns. They're all supposed to be SBS, but if I treat it seriously because it's violent, then I'm the bad guy. And then everybody goes, man, why don't you just? Why it's just the clowns? They're just having fun.
No.
Like they're throwing a Molotov, and they're like, that's just funny, hee hee. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, and then you become the bad guy.
No,
that stuff has has happened to me over and over and over. It happens to me all the time. It's one of the reasons I don't really respond to clown calls anymore, because I always have to be the one that steps in.
But that's unfair to them.
Shit's getting violent.
That's unfair to them because those guys take the repercussions. I don't. So why the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, this is why I'm the bad guy a lot of the times. I'm the bad guy because I do that stuff a lot, where I have to be, look, this is getting violent. This is no longer funny, hee hee ha ha. You're running around with a fucking grenade and throwing it at people.
Oh my God, that was literally what I was making yesterday. I'm like, listen, if it's like between two people, like whatever, right? But the moment someone's about to, you know what it is, actually? There's a, I'm going to make sure I word this properly.
Don't. It's funnier if you don't.
I know. Law enforcement cannot be pussies and cannot cry when they get consequences put their way. Why? Because it happens. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. It never truly ever is. Because at the end of the day, no one actually loses their job. And if they do, it's 2 months later, and then they get the job back a month after that.
Yeah, they get defrosted.
Exactly. It's never, ever, ever been bad unless you're absolute fucking dog shit doing wild, like, unbecoming stuff, right? Reality. As law enforcement, whether in San Andreas or anywhere else, you have the ability to detain. You are able to take away someone's liberties temporarily, right? You're able to stop their movement, you know, all these sort of things. But with that comes responsibility, right? No one else can do that. You can do that as a criminal with a gun, right? But you go to jail if you do that shit, right? You can go away for a long fucking time. For an everyday civilian, they live their consequences on a daily basis. They go to the bank. There's people that are serial, like, professional hostages. Like the guy at the town hall yesterday. He's like, I keep getting kidnapped on a daily basis, right? And then I have to sit there and hear law enforcement be like, well, we're going to do something. But then in the same fucking moment, they're like, let's serve a warrant in the middle of people. Like, that's fucking brain dead. It's no, you want to come around fucking, where was I going with all this? The ha ha he he, right?
Yeah.
Is at the, it doesn't compute. It doesn't compute. It's just people are fucking lazy. They shouldn't have badges. It's really that simple. I don't even know what I was going to say because I'm going to be honest, you break my train of thought.
I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I totally get where you're coming from on it too. And I also have experience dealing with this stuff. You say, yeah, we have the authority to detain people, but then you do. And then somebody just comes up with an idea of, no, that wasn't illegal detainment. And you didn't have probable cause.
Yeah, but why does that? But why does that matter though?
And then it's on the docket because it makes your life fucking miserable, Nino. Do you know how much fan mail I get every time I don't even have a body camera? And how much fan mail I get is insane every time I take an action. I don't listen. Look, I get it. Listen, all right. Look, I think I know more than anybody. All right. You probably do.
Look, trust me, I am very well versed in that. Very, very, very well versed in that. But how do I put this? Oh my God. Listen, I don't want to drive this the conversation too much down this direction.
Yeah, no, we're not. We can derail that. But it's a lot of it is.
But that's people. I hate to say this. And this is, you know, without getting into that's the difference between who should be in a leadership position and who can, because you can't have. That's not in our control.
Yeah.
Right. There may be a perception there isn't. I am always going to fight. Look, as an attorney, right? In the flip side goes as an attorney. Yesterday, I'll give you an example, right? And it wasn't as deep as what you're describing, but I was asked, do I recognize two people? And in a court hearing where I was sworn in, and I had to think to myself, how much did I hear them talk? Were they masked? Am I going to stand here and say for sure, like, I recognize them, right? Because that's a very particular, I need to make an affirmative statement, right? I take that shit seriously. And I said no. But man, oh man, did I get grilled afterwards, like as if I intentionally did not identify somebody. I'm like, I treat that like that, you know, and you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Nino perjured himself.
Yeah.
We need to spin up the impeachment
and
paperwork.
I'm like, no, like, you know, I take that statement serious. Do you have an inkling of who it was? Yeah, absolutely. But the question is, did I recognize them? Recognition, it implies like, you know, confirmation, right? I'm about to, as a witness, I may throw someone in.
Speak.
Right. But the reality was, I barely hear, they mumbled some shit, right? I'm pretty sure I had an idea who it was, but I never spoke to them afterwards. They had a mask on. It could have literally been someone dressed up as someone else. And I'm not going to stand there and swear an oath and say, I positively ID'd someone, right? Fucking ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Hell, even this whole court center thing, like, you know, I felt like I'm bitching when in the reality, I'm saying, like, guys, we're not taking civilian lives seriously. Like, this is why they fucking keep disappearing from the city. Like, what do you expect? Right? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, they kept fucking molly. Like, these people that are literally just farmed all day. Like, you know.
Yeah, they really are. I that's one of the reasons I focus so fucking hard on trying to support any civilian that's living a literal civilian life.
And then
that's always my key goal.
At that point, it's like, what's the point of law enforcement if your main priority is helping locals, right? Like, that should be like fucking all hands on deck. Get the fuck out of here. Is this real? Well, the evidence was left on the ground.
They throw everything to protect locals,
Norman
but then they're in a high-speed chase and will plow through them.
Let's go investigate fucking 20 officers up in there. Oh, this plague? Oh, yeah, that's serious. You know, okay, actually, you know what? Let me pop off a little bit. Why the fuck is there people that might have the plague that are currently on duty?
You know, I couldn't tell you. You know,
is there truth to that?
I have my own opinions on this shit. Dark was
sick yesterday, and I ran into someone earlier today, and the guy had a mask off on, and he's like coughing and shit, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, is this plague serious? Is it not? Is it SBS? Because if it's not,
it feels like it sometimes.
Because if it's not,
honestly, Nino,
why the fuck is there potentially sick people on duty interacting with the public?
Yeah, because it's apparently the plague that's not contagious. It's contagious, but it's currently not contagious because some magical force is keeping it from being contagious right now from person to person. That's literally what I've been explained. Nino, I have intentionally kept distance from this investigation so that I can keep oversight of this investigation.
Okay.
I don't want to get so ingrained in all the nitty-gritty nonsense details that I need to be able to take an outside perspective on it, because I was afraid of this from the beginning. That, like, Dark, he's like, oh, ghosts are real, and Justice,
they're not fucking real.
Please help.
They're not fucking real.
Yeah, no, literally people are going out there, ghosts are real, dead people are alive, and I'm like, dead people don't have rights, so just fucking do what you need to do. But then, no, we can't piss off the ghosts. I'm like, it's a ghost, it's fake. And then, well, we have the plague, it's a contagious plague, but it's not contagious right now. It's like, this is becoming the level of nonsense that I don't understand, and that's why I'm keeping distance, so I can
you know what's even worse?
Be like, you guys are dumb.
I have Jason Todd. She's and thank goodness for the Sama head, whose name I'm escaping me. But like, Jason Todd is like a biological scientist. And she came in to try to talk to doctors to see if she could help. Like, analyze and shit, right? Because with all due respect, doctors don't magically become biotechs, right? Or like, it's not their, And
in this town, they gotta
holy fuck, if it wasn't for the Sama head, I already could tell by the way that it was, by what she said, that she was probably given like a series of like, oh my god, this is sus. Why is this person asking about this? Why is they coming in and saying they can help? And like, it literally was her coming in and be like, hey, I work at Humane Labs. Like, is there any possibility I could? Yeah. And it was just like, oh my god, that's sus. Like,
yes,
what?
And this has been one of my biggest things that I actually brought up last night was there is all kinds of like major investigations that are involving criminal activities that the marshals have been keeping close to chest. And I'm like,
sure.
why? Why are we keeping this close to chest? This stuff is statewide affecting the police department, the county police department that's out there every day is encountering things, and you guys are getting upset because the county police aren't figuring things out. Like, you aren't telling them. You need to unclassify this shit and give it to the police department. Like, it makes sense for the marshals to keep close to chest things like internal investigations where we're trying to keep, where we're doing corruption investigations. But criminal investigations don't necessarily need to be kept close to chest unless you think a corrupt criminal or like a corrupt government agent is involved. And, and this is spread out to all the different counties. Like this whole plague thing, all 3 agencies had their own independent investigation going on. And so there was all kinds of confusing information going around, and I was like, that was the reason we put out the class. I pushed for those classified documents. That was literally the whole reason. It was because I could see this constantly, and everyone was upset because they're like, you can't share that information with the other. We don't know who's involved, and I'm like, you can't just hold it close to. Yes, that's the whole reason I pushed for all that. Like I was pushing the legislation to get the classified documents thing, the penal code. And then I pushed for that actually to make the classified documents to distribute because I was like, you can't just keep holding this stuff close to chest. I am a big transparency person. You can't just keep going, well, there's a 5% chance that this person's corrupt, so we can't share it with them. I'm like, no, there is a 100% chance they're the leader of the fucking city and you need to share that information with them because they need to make decisions.
Oh my God. Oh. It's what is the worst
this
that
is the
happens?
fight I'm fighting in the background.
What? These aren't cops, then. They're just succubuses. The
it's
neutral
main character syndrome, Nino.
Yeah, I've tried to find a different word.
No, that's what it is.
Oh my God.
Everyone wants to be the hero. This town, you only stick out if you're the hero. And
hero honestly, for what? For what?
For glory. That's what everyone wants. They want glory. They want recognition.
Glory for what? Ain't nobody gonna remember any of these motherfuckers.
Exactly. Which is why it feels like I'm the one pushing all this shit because I don't care about glory and recognition and all that. I want to keep people fucking safe and do the fucking job.
When is the last time there's ever been a hero of anything?
Kale Soze, when he breached the Capitol and took over and gave us a new constitution.
He didn't do that.
Well, that's what history remembers. If you ask anyone, Kale Soze led the charge and then founded a new constitution. Yeah,
he didn't. Wait, he didn't though.
Well, I know.
He never breached
that's not what historians remember. Okay.
Well, okay, fine, right?
Whoever wins gets to lay the story down. Okay. Everything else is
other than that, you know what I mean? Other than that.
Yeah, no.
People tell their own
Jackie
heroic
Snow,
stories.
who was the hero, but then he became a total zero and got his house raided.
Yeah, maybe it's heroic really amongst peers. Right? Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, what it does though, and it's the unfortunate thing is if no one in the city gives a fuck about the plague, it's not real anyways. If nobody knows that there's an escaped convict running around the city that might be dangerous, they don't exist. If there's a terrorist organization, right, doing like all this like boo in the shadows and no one knows about it, they don't exist. Right?
Yeah.
None of those things exist. Why? Because they only exist if they feel real. And they will never feel real if only like 2 or 3 people know about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go to shift 3. None of that shit exists.
Yeah. Oh my God. Barrett?
Why do you think I'm a night shifter?
Yeah.
We know, like,
we should change this.
I'm trying. I don't have a lot of backing.
Who backing by what? You're the highest authority.
Backing. Well, you would think I'm the highest authority, but I'm not. I have to share that co-lead with Dark, and then I have a person above me, the director, and then I have a person above them, the justices, and then I have the public opinion.
What happened to the appointed director? Is that not it yet?
They have to appoint somebody, and who the fuck are they going to appoint? They're not going to appoint me. I'm too much of a wild card. And why would they appoint Dark? He's fucking chasing ghosts and shit. They're probably going to fly in a director. You know, maybe we'll get Travis Grass or something as director.
I did start that trend, after all.
Yep.
Man, I wonder if there's ever been a investigator that successfully put 60 people in prison for 30 years and led a entire army to invade someone and took down Michael Simone and had been multiple roles in high command. And I don't know, man. I don't know if anyone could really ever fit the bill.
What do you mean? You remember what I did in the third decade? I want to hear it. Well, you probably don't remember.
What in the third? No, I wasn't really around.
I was in fucking Vinewood PD under Maltons, and I destroyed the loan system, the statewide loan system, and collapsed all the company.
Oh,
over a fucking traffic stop.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it started with a traffic stop and ended with more than 300 subpoenas. And the Department of Justice went, Barrett, you're going to destroy the country. We're just going to legislate this out and call it quits. And I was like, okay. And then that's why, like,
I'm only kidding,
just all of a sudden, Diamond Hand loans and fast loans and all those completely collapsed and closed doors out of the blue.
Oh, I was aware of Diamond loans.
Yeah, I had a huge investigation that started over a goddamn traffic stop and ended up with more than 300 subpoenas and search warrants. And I was looking at seizing more than $1.4 billion.
I got extremely investigated. You know, actually, you know what happened with me?
What's up?
I used to have like stake in the casino. But it's mostly like operations. Like I didn't really get too much money out of it. But there was this whole thing where like
Hydro was running that shit, weren't they?
No. They weren't.
Or Seaside?
No.
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 Running that shit.
At the state.
At the casino? I thought.
Yeah,
I thought
Diamond
one of the
Loans.
Oh, Diamond Loans. No, I thought you were talking about the casino.
No. There was a whole thing where like someone died, right? Hooker Block.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And they thought I ordered the hit. Yeah. And it was because some dumb fuck attorney came and blabbed a bunch of shit and then said they told me, and then the person got killed. But genuinely, it was some attorney that I didn't know, and I thought he was like, you know, people call me up and want to yap about shit all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I literally do not listen because I'm just like, I don't care. And so he said a bunch of shit, and I didn't find this out till much later. He told me a bunch of shit that I will swear up and down I didn't register any of it. Because number one, I was awake for 14 hours at that point. I didn't know who the fuck this guy was. And yada, 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 right?
Right.
So he does this and then says, I did the hit, and I wake up and this guy's apparently in a police like isolation or whatever it's called, like protective service. And Bob Smith was so convinced that, because I knew Hooker Block, right? I was her attorney. Or something like that, that Bob Smith would go into the prison and threaten her with a bunch of shit in order to get her to leak that I did it. Which he never understood that would be coercion, right?
Yeah, it's a coerced confession.
Exactly. It was interesting.
Confession by duress, or there's some weird term for it.
But so no, I get it. Shit, what time is it?
Oh, no,
25 minutes.
Being a babysitter is hard for the police department.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you gave Turner the permanent assignment.
He's the right guy for the job. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure me and him are going to butt heads eventually, but I feel like I can trust that he has a good head on his shoulders, that he's at least going to take my point of view. So far, he's at least talked to me about stuff.
Yeah.
I know he's been hesitant to talk to me about and like get my side of the story on some things because I'm sure he's heard all kinds of nonsense about me. But I usually just tell it straight. Like I'll just straight up tell you what's on my mind. You ask, I'm an open book. Transparency is my big thing.
Here's the thing, Barrett. The biggest challenge that is faced today, look, there's going to be times where we're going to heavily disagree, as we've had it in the past, right? Mm-hmm. But at least they are baked in the reality of a living, breathing city, and it's not problems of like, is this SBS or is it not SBS? Because that kind of shit, I like want to literally ask someone to just put a bullet in my head. Because it's like when that's the kind of argument that I'm having to make, it's like I'm not here for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel that in the bones.
But that is the biggest challenge, right? Is right, and part of that open is what we just got done discussing. Is like certain things do not need to be tight-lipped. You don't need to be a hero. You're not going to be a hero, right? Like you're just not. And I think maybe just maybe. Some of that fear comes from like, what if our investigation gets ruined because of X, Y, and Z? Let's be honest. That should not be the priority, right? The conviction bit. It is, but public safety is significantly. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you out something and it turns out someone gets loose and then they end up dying, that's a bigger W than like the entire public being at risk for months.
Yeah, I mean, I've thrown investigations before just because it was safer for the city, in general, to basically just get rid of an investigation and handle the consequences. But the overall result was the city was a better place for it.
Yeah. Yep.
And people are just afraid. They like, no, this is my goal. I have to follow my flow chart to get my goal.
I might be on drugs, but I think I just saw a military helicopter land by Mission PD.
It's probably.
Like with camouflage?
Maybe. How big was it?
I may have been seeing things and maybe it was a shadow making it look like it. I know it must have been a scuff local. It had to have been.
I don't question things these days. That's just not out of the realm of impossible.
Yeah.
And the longer you stay on the phone with me, that means more people are trying to call me and and they can't get through, which I appreciate because this is not my fucking shift.
Let's try to push this openness conversation. I think it's good.
Go tell those motherfuckers to get their car off our porch. These dumbasses treating the goddamn observatory like a jungle gym. You know we have a new office at the observatory.
Wait, what do you mean? Since when?
Yeah, since like 2 days ago.
Is it furnished?
Well, no, I'm having to furnish it right now. That's why I'm spending all my time up here is furnishing it and trying to remember to eat.
Oh, shit. All right. Well,
we're getting it all fleshed out right now, but people keep coming up here because, oh my God, there's a new door on the side of the observatory. Let's try and pull the handle on it constantly and drive our cars all over the goddamn place and treat it like a fucking jungle gym.
Jesus
so we've been out
Christ.
here like trespassing people because they're treating it like a fucking jungle gym. Climbing over the roofs, jumping over railings, hopping and running around everywhere. Like, you want to go get some energy out, go to a fucking playground.
I'm going to ask you something.
Yeah.
What's going on with these? Do you know anything about the Ron Oil stuff?
What do you mean about the Ron Oil stuff? I know Ron Oil is putting up a new...
these
they're
like
getting
terminals.
Their operations going again. The terminal? You mean the terminals that are up there in their facility?
Didn't know about that. There's like outdoor terminals.
If you go up into their up into the hills where the big Ron Oil sign is, there's a bunch of terminals that it's preparing for their new operations to get started. So you'll see like there's operations for distillation process for oil to fuel and the storage and all that. Now they don't have their operations going yet, but they have passed on information that shows their property that was passed into possession of them from the previous mayor, Maximilian Thoroughbred.
Yeah.
And it's signed, it's wax sealed and everything with the state seal, so I know it's appropriated and everything. But they're trying to get their operations going. Do I have concern? Absolutely, because people treat that place like a fucking jungle gym.
Sorry,
but
what I'm asking is, some of these terminals give you access to shit, and I don't know like what the fuck it is. What I'm asking is like, are they? Do they authorize people to get on these things? Like, what like, that's kind of what I'm asking.
There's if it's the terminals that you're talking about that are up in the hills, you have to have an oil production license, which you'll even read out if you swipe your card against it. If you swipe your card against it, it'll tell you require an oil production license in order to operate this.
Okay.
And it's not recognizing your card as having your ID card as having a license attached to it.
Okay. Are you aware of other shit?
What other shit?
Other terminals?
You mean like computer terminals, the old ones?
Yes.
Yeah, we've had some. The Rondo Oil asked us to keep an eye on those because, they're trying to get their facilities back in operation, but some old equipment is coming online and it's attached to their network, and we're trying to locate and get them to basically cap off some of those unsecured contact points. They have those all over the city. But we keep finding them.
They're still trying to get access.
Yeah, they'll have because everything's coming back online. All their network stuff is coming back online as they turn everything back on and get their bills paid and shit. There's computer terminals that are not really well secured, and they're trying to locate them and get them all resecured and stuff. But they have property all over the fucking state, and so that shit just keeps popping up all over the place. And so we're, they've asked us to go around their properties. Like, we have a map of all their properties, and sometimes if we're driving,
can I get a copy of that?
Yeah, I can try to give you a copy of it.
I've been trying to get in contact with these guys for like a minute, but I think they're awake a lot earlier because I'd like to understand like some of this shit, right? Obviously.
Yeah, we'll go out there and trespass people. They have a list of like their employees and stuff, and we'll go find people in fucking Ron industry buildings who are Dora the Exploring everywhere, and we'll trespass them out.
Well, that's kind of that's part of my concern, right? Is like, I'm hearing this for the first time. How does anyone know that this is private property?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of the places that we're trespassing people have giant signs that say this is private property, do not trespass. So I would say that's a pretty clear indicator.
Yeah, you say that, but I think you understand what I'm saying at the same time.
People are dumb.
Well, no, there's places that are inoperable, owned by the state, or not the state, or whatever the fuck nowadays, since BCS or Blaine County is like selling off shit, even though that's not a thing. Yeah, and so it's like, you go to another place, like, how do you know someone owns that, right? Or if it's old signage.
Fair. Well, I mean, if you shouldn't just assume it's old signage and disregard it. If you see private property, do not trespass. You can't just go, oh, that's probably
where
old.
Are these? Where is this? You said by the Ron sign on the hills? Wait, you mean actually on the facility?
Yeah, in the whole. Are you up there in the hills right now?
Yeah. I see the big Ron sign.
Yeah, so go to the Ron sign. I think to the on the back side of it. There's a terminal on the left. I think it's near the N or between the N and the O.
Oh, where I last saw it. Interesting.
There's another one to
it's the blending,
this
blending pool shit.
Yeah, so there's that. So if you try to swipe your ID card on it, it'll tell you don't have a oil
pumping license.
Oil production. Yeah, that one.
Oh.
There's another one to the north, I believe, on the other side of some storage tanks. And there's another one on the side of a building a little bit further north of that. That's for storage.
Do the pumps have terminals?
No, I don't think so yet.
Okay. So the reason I have this conversation, right, is I've been made aware of terminals in other parts of the city. But some of those locations I don't think necessarily have signage on it. And then there sort of expands another issue, which is, what is that? Is accessing that terminal legal or is it illegal? Is it authorized? Is it unauthorized? How do you know what it entails, right? So I'll tell you as an example, right? I was driving around and some guy was at this location and he said that he was playing with the computer and he said that he was working at the toll company.
Oh, he's in one of the little side booths. Yeah, no. So if you have to enter inside of a building, like, do you just automatically assume if it's not, you know, the whole definitions of like public access, right? If it's not very obviously public access, you shouldn't be walking inside of a building that's generally trespassing. The idea of a closed door in a not a commercial building that says welcome, come on inside. You can't just walk inside of houses and be like, oh well, you know,
I agree.
The door was open, so I thought
toll
it was.
Toll booth doesn't have that
cool.
enclosure though, right?
I mean, it's still an enclosure. Just because it doesn't have a door doesn't mean it's not an enclosure. It's very obviously not for public access.
I'm agreeing with your general argument here, right? Mm-hmm. But I think we need to also apply it to existing legislation, as well as like general expectation, right?
So the phone thing,
but just to expand, right? Like, let's say as an example. Right, we've got the G6 place where you sign in. There's no trespassing over there, right? But as a civilian, I know I can go there, I can sign in, I can get a truck, I can start to do my job, whatever. How do you make that distinction from someone who goes to one of those terminals like, hey, this might be a new job. Oh, maybe the job login is over here. You get what I'm saying? There's not like, how is that going to be treated? How do people know what it is? And where I'm kind of driving this is, if Ron Oil is expecting the shit to be illegal, right? Or these things are illegal, people should know whether it's okay or not okay. Otherwise, they're walking into a situation that is going to be unexpectedly, possibly fucking them in the ass. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you that a lot of these computers are already fairly wiped. And people are taking their own software and uploading them to there with a very basic command line structure.
Okay.
And using that to break into them. And it's the same thing as I relate it to phones, right? Like, I can't just take your phone and search it, or I can't just get your phone and start going through it because that's an illegal search of your digital property. It's a container. People can't just go into a computer and break into it because that's the data inside of the computer is a container. The data inside of it is private property.
Counter argument. I'm coming in as a defense attorney right now, right? Mm-hmm. Right. That's how do you know what they did?
Because we have CIs and stuff, and they usually almost always have these little floppy disks that have a widely generated or widely distributed operating system on there. It's literally just called OS. It's an image. It's an image drive of an operating system that's very bare bones and it's essential basics that gives you command line operation because we've acquired one.
Oh, okay. So where I'm going with this, right? Mm-hmm. Me, Nino Chavez, I'm at one of these terminals because someone's like, hey, look at this thing. And I get on it and I'm like, oh, okay. All right, cool. Mr. Toll Guy, thank you for letting me use this toll machine. Now you come in, you know, Marshal Barrett, and you're like, hey, Nino, you can't do that. And I'm like, huh? And now I'm in cuffs and it's like, well, you've got this thing and you were doing the bad. How do you really know that I was doing the bad?
What do you mean that you were doing the bad? That you were going inside of somebody's computer? That
well, the toll guy
I found this random. Why does the toll guy tell you it's okay to just go into your computer? Like, what reason are you going in there?
He told me I'm working at the toll booth and fixing his IT problem. Because there's no.
Yeah, what are you doing with your? What job are you doing with?
I see where you're driving with this, but like, you know, this is going to be like a shit show in court, right?
You know, that's
and the enforcement of it. That's kind of where I'm going, where I'm driving down this.
How are we supposed to articulate this, Nino? Other than
exactly,
this is somebody else. This is somebody else's property.
No, we're in agreement.
You're just going in there and you're just like, oh, I just wandered in here, and this guy's like, hey, come fuck with this computer and start entering commands and breaching networks.
We are in agreement. I'm doing this is Socratic questioning, right? I'm drawing out these questions of like, how the fuck? You know what I mean? Because there is no, like, you're not like, you know, you're effectively you're put in a position, from what it sounds like, that if someone has some equipment that could, you don't know if the action was taken, right? So it's like conspiracy at best, right?
Well, yeah, because we can't see the fucking floppy disk they inserted in the computer. There's not much a lot we can do.
And
unfortunately, we only see it in their pockets. Like, they don't need to keep it in there. It's like, oh, well, it's in your pocket.
I almost feel like
if we're going to go semantics about that, then I just hate that shit.
No, I know you hate it, but Barrett, let's not kid ourselves. That's a key piece to a lot of these things, right?
If you're hunched over the computer typing on the keyboard and you've got one of these fucking operating disks and you're basically overwriting the computer of it, trespass right now.
Yeah. This is something
it would be a civil violation against Ron Oil because you're breaching their privacy rights.
Yeah, this is a conversation that I think let's continue to explore in advance of if we think it's not. I mean, it depends on the Ron guys too, if they even give a fuck to me at the end of the day.
They will go around their properties and drive around during first shift and run people out of their shit.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if they really care enough that they'd want something more, you know.
I mean, they might
more to this.
Maybe it might. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to start issuing out civil suits against people for violation of their right to privacy by breaching their systems unauthorized. And Ron Oil's going to have some head.
You good, Barrett?
I'll tell you my other concern.
Oh, sorry,
my biggest
you
concern
cut off.
Thing,
you said
right?
You said something, and then it sounded like your phone fell down.
You there?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Nino?
Hello?
Nino?
Hello?
Oh God, I thought you had a car accident.
Something. I heard a sound in the phone, and then it just stopped working.
Nino.
Hello? Can you hear me? I heard your phone spike a sound, and then you stopped hearing me. Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
All right.
I don't know what the fuck that was.
I gotta fly out of here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I want to explore this. Underlinedly, my concern, I don't give a fuck if it remains trespassing, if it goes something more. I would love to preemptively avoid some cringe argument on both ends of the spectrum if it does turn into something bigger. You know what I mean? And I think you probably would want the same.
Yeah, I'll tell you straight up, I've been shot down on this because people think I'm ridiculous, but I really don't think I am, because I like to consider all options of things. My biggest concern with the Ron Oil thing is this plague. And I know those don't seem very related, but...
Wait, say that again? Sorry, it did throw me off. Say it again.
Yeah, my biggest concern with Ron Oil is this plague right now, this potential plague.
All right.
So this wasn't really, people ignored this pretty heavily, but about a week and a half ago, I saw a report where apparently a fighter jet from the United States Air Force landed at Zancudo Air Force Base, wanting to do a refuel. They requested clearance. Somebody gave them clearance. They landed at Zancudo to refuel. And apparently they met this soldier or whatever, this airman, at Zancudo, and the airman was like confused because like, where's all the military people? And these officers were like, oh, we don't have a standing military. Literally told the U.S. airman this, and they helped him refuel, and he went on his way. Now it's being known and like basically announced across the world that we have rich oil resources available in San Andreas, and Ron Oil is ramping up production again and expected to have mass production capabilities. And now we have this plague that's basically taking over, concerns that it could take over the entire state. I mean, I don't have to be crazy to kind of start having concerns about this, right? Like, if the United States military knows that we don't have a standing military, we have very rich oil resources, and maybe we have an out of control fucking plague that has a very high lethality rate, And if that plague gets out of control, what's an easy solution for that? I've watched enough movies and I know some general ideas. We get our asses fucking glassed, and they come in and secure our oil resources.
Holy fuck.
But everyone thinks I'm crazy. So I'm like, you guys really think I'm crazy for this?
Chat,
like,
click the
why
link,
did
click
we
the
tell
link.
the U.S. military that we don't have a steady military,
click
but
it,
also
click it.
very rich
Click
in
the
oil
link.
resources?
Oh my god.
I'm telling you because
I'm gonna let
nobody
you
thinks it's a
in
big deal.
on a very big secret that I'm cooking on.
Okay.
And it goes hand in hand with this, but I gotta fly out. So we're gonna have to save this for another day.
All right. Keep me in suspense. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's a very big conversation. It's it's for moments like this. All right, I'm gonna talk to you soon, Barrett. But
right.
Keep cooking on that because it makes too much sense.
Yeah, I thought so. But I'm the crazy one.
No, I don't.
All right,
think
take
so.
care, Nino.
You take care. Bye.
Bye.
We need to bring Barrett in on our senator arc.